What is going on, fellow Hillside gardeners? Welcome back to the channel. I've been away for a little bit. Things have been kind of been busy and kind of preoccupied, but I'm back to share some information. So, in the springtime, early spring, late winter, we get the gardening itch. We're all gung-ho about planting seeds. We're gonna get out there and garden, get our hands dirty, and that's awesome. And right now, it is early August, probably the first week of August when you're watching this. And just the view from the pepper porch here. I mean, we got peppers growing over here. We got peppers growing there. I got tomatoes. My neighbor's dropping off bags on every single day. Can't get rid of them fast enough. So it's really easy at this time of the year to kind of get complacent and forget that there's a whole nother season right in front of you that's about to happen. That is my favorite season, honestly, is the fall gardening season. Some reasons why it's my favorite. Temps are starting to cool down. In the evenings, you get that nice, cool mornings. The dew in the mornings, not quite as hot. You're getting a little bit shorter in the daylight. So that's definitely a drawback. But, a lot of plants actually thrive and do better in the fall than they do planting in the spring when it comes to your typical fall crops like your mustards and your kales and your turnips and peas and arugula. And I can go on and on and on and on. But this year I've done a pretty good job of actually staying somewhat organized and planning something out and just not being so haphazard, because unlike the spring, things always just get crazier out there. Right now, your garden's growing, everything's doing just fine. You kind of have a little bit of leeway with your fall crops because they can, once established, actually tolerate a slight frost towards the end of the season. So the end of the season is really not determined, if that makes sense to you. There's no real definite hard stopping point, so you never know. You get a leeway. You might have a early frost, but it may not hurt your plants. You may have a longer Indian kind of summer, and you might have a bonus 2 weeks or something to the season. So the fall can be unpredictable, but does have its uses and its bonuses when it comes to growing some crops there. So what am I growing this year for my fall garden? Well, this tray here is cilantro. This is some it's a French heirloom. I forget the name of it, but it's a small heading romaine. It doesn't get huge, but it's it's a very delicate, tender flavor. It's not really sharp. It's really, really awesome. I'll have to find the name. I'll try to leave it in the description down there below. These are just some of your Siberian kale. Is the blue kale, I think is whatever you might commonly call it. And over here, something I'm trying this year a little differently, and they're just starting to come up. You can kind of see right there. These are the flowering kale, so they're more decorative. You see these in the fall, like at Lowe's or Home Depot or your garden centers. The little flowering kales, where they're just multicolored. Those are actually edible, so that you can grow them for decoration and to eat. So I'm going to try to, best of both worlds, kind of decorate as a fall ornamental as well as something edible. In this tray here, I also have some turnips, some peas, and I can't read my own handwriting, purple or red mustard. And saying that, these are the seeds right here. This is cilantro. This is just a variety of seeds I have. The crane white, these are the F1 hybrid kale, the flowering kales. Some sugar daddy stringless peas, purple top turnips, and some of that giant red mustard. These can always be planted direct seeded, and that's fine. But I find that with greens and things like this, I do like to, because I have the cell trays available to me, I think it's easier when it comes to transplanting time to make it a little bit more evenly distributed, a little bit nicer. I mean, if you have a big patch and you just want to broadcast some seed, go for it. But just for my garden and my raised beds, etc., this is what works best for me. So you find out what works best for you and go for it. So I'm going to show you some more seeds I have growing right over here on the chair. Some other ideas you can grow. These are obviously back here. This is the purple coloring. This is purple Japanese mustard. I believe these are the wild arugula or wild rocket. There are some radicchio planted in one of these right here. And over here you see some carrots that are just coming up right there, which I've tried carrots, and honestly I think in the fall they do better, at least in my climate, because the cooler fall weather. And in our zone 6B, 7A transition climate, we go from winter to about 5 minutes of spring and straight to hot weather. So a lot of the spring greens typically will bolt because they've been exposed to that rapid shift into the temperature range. So that being said, the natural brassicas are biennials, so they're going to grow one year, overwinter, then grow and set fruit the next year. and drop their seeds. Well, this would be the time, at least in my perspective, if you've ever grown these plants, brassica types or mustards or collards or anything, let them go to seed, radishes even. They're going to start seeding in June, July timeframe. Then they're going to drop their seeds. Well, in a natural climate, they're going to start, the seeds are going to grow in the fall time. Then they're going to overwinter and then regrow back in the spring and reproduce seeds and complete the cycle of their biennial life cycle right there. So anyways, I think that's why they do better in the fall, because this is more of when they're expecting it to be warm, going into the cool weather, as opposed to planting them early spring where they're exposed to the cold, then turning into the warm. Well, that's what's going to cause them to bolt in the spring, because they think they've already lived a season and they're going straight into that warm period. So that's going to, trigger them into growing. So some tips I can give you to keep your greens and your your cool weather fall crops growing and off to a good start here in the spring is the example you are witnessing right now. These are growing on my front porch. And around me, obviously, peppers and peppers and peppers. And these are my canna lilies in front of you. See the nice red coloring of the flowers here, which hummingbirds love, by the way. I love sitting out here in the mornings because hummingbirds always come pay me a visit. But these plants here are acting as a natural shade to the trays down below. So if you have an opportunity to let your seedlings for the fall crops, where it's still hot outside, it's going to be 84, 85, I think maybe 91 degrees this weekend. So these little seedlings are not going to want to be out in the full blazing sun. They will die. They were not strong enough to survive that. So give them some shade, keep the soil pretty well moistened, free draining soil, water them every day if you really need to, dry out, drying them out, plus the heat. These little roots and these guys are not going to be able to withstand it as much as they could go a day or two without watering in the spring, because it's just quite honestly, it's just not hot, the sun's not as intense. So anyways, so there you go, guys. That's just a quick little update of what I'm planning for my fall garden. A little couple ways you can incorporate some of the natural shade of your other plants to help these things get off to a great start. So let me know what you guys are growing down in the comments below. If you've liked what you've seen, give it a thumbs up. If you really liked what you saw, go ahead and consider subscribing. And if you've already subscribed, that's awesome. I appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you next time here on the Hillside. It was some more fall plantings, some more flowers, some more peppers. You never know what you might expect, so stick around, and we'll see you here next time, guys. All right, bye-bye.